Hello ComixFam. You already know the nightmares. How a predator hunted Wolverine across centuries. How Black Panther crushed a Yautja strike on Wakanda. And how Spider-Man and Kraven butchered Skinner. You remember Kraven lifting that skull high and getting crowned as the ultimate hunter. But that was only the prologue. The predators are back on Earth, and this time they are not here for just trophies. They're here to tear out spines, burn worlds, and erase the entire Marvel universe. What comes next is pure carnage. Heroes butchered, gods executed, a war scream ripping through the cosmos. This isn't a fight, it's an extinction-level event. So slice through that subscribe button, because today we dive face first into the slaughter. Let's find out who lives, who dies, and who fights. Earth, the hunting grounds of the predators. In cold void of space, Rocket Raccoon received a distress call while Peter Quill slept. He jolted Quill awake and screamed that they were being pinged by an emergency beacon. The registration of the distress ship belonged to Stark Industries, and it was stranded on one of Saturn's moons. Peter tried to contact them back and asked the nature of the emergency. A broken message with static came through. Help needed. Hardware malfunction. They docked their ship and met the rest of the Guardians of the Galaxy, Gamora, Groot, and Drax. Peter told them not to worry. It was just a mechanical drill, and went ahead with Rocket to investigate the Stark mining ship. But as soon as they entered, the laser aimers of the Predator cannon focused in on their chests. Raccoon screamed Quill's name. Right then, a Predator cannon was fired. The plasma blast tore through Peter Quill's body. Blood and ribs exploded everywhere, instantly killing him. Rocket pulled his gun in maddening rage and fired back at the attacker. The Guardians heard Rocket scream and readied themselves. But then, a Predator razor disc ripped through the air and beheaded Drax, cut Groot in half, and sliced off Gamora's arm. As they lay dying, Kraven walked in, wearing the Skinner Predator's skull as a trophy. He instructed the accompanying Predators to finish the job. He said that he knew the heroes would answer to any distress. That made them easy praise. He opened his mask and growled, "Let the great hunt begin, and let Kraven be the spearhead." Meanwhile, at the Weapon Plus facility in Virginia, a helicopter landed as Dr. Cornelius stepped out. General Charlotte Pett introduced herself and thanked him for accommodating her visit. Cornelius replied he thought it was a command. Pett warned she was busy and said Weapon Plus funding faced cuts. As they walked inside, she reminded him he hadn't delivered a prototype in over a year. Cornelius unlocked a secured door with a retinal scan. Pett demanded to know what they were paying for. He opened the chamber. When she threatened his program, Cornelius locked the doors behind her. Pett screamed at him to open the door, but right then, a Weapon X Predator hybrid appeared in front of her. Cornelius grinned. "General Pett, meet Predator X." Elsewhere, a massive Yautja fortress drifted through space toward Earth. The ship descended toward the dark side of the moon. Inside, the Predator King sat on a throne of skulls and twisted bone. He planned to claim Earth as a preserve, and eventually a home, drawn by the rising heat of the planet. He wanted Earth's vibranium reserve for himself. Kraven entered with a torch beside Predator warriors. He had killed a deadly Yautja called Skinner, gaining their respect. He had lived among them for a year, learning their ways and teaching them Earth's. Without warning, Graveyard, the Predator King's massive son, armored in Wakandan vibranium, struck Kraven with an electric spear and sent him collapsing. Kraven groaned, but forced himself to kneel before the king. The Yautjas had requested a kill list. He activated a device, and red holograms of Earth's strongest heroes filled the chamber. Thor, Iron Man, Captain America, Wolverine, Spider-Man, and others. He explained they would hunt them one at a time, beginning with the most powerful. He had only one request. Spider-Man's trophy would belong to him. On the blue side of the moon, the Fantastic Four enjoyed coffee together, when suddenly, Reed Richards faced an excruciating pain. He screamed, the algorithm was wrong. As he tried to extend his body, his arm was sliced off. Blood gushed out. Sue, Johnny, and Ben geared up for a fight. That was when Kraven appeared with a Predator hunting party. He explained to them that the Fantastic Four would fight as a family, so they would come with coordination and sense of protecting the others. Sue Storm should be the primary target, but her force fields would protect her. So the Predators should hunt the herd first. Ben and Johnny attacked in their rage. As per Kraven's plan, one predator cloaked itself and strangled Johnny with an energy rope. He pulled and broke Johnny's neck. Kraven suggested that fighting Ben in close quarters would be stupidity. He knocked Ben down with the energy blast from his vibranium combi stick, and then he hurled Ben into space. Removal was the intelligent strategy. Sue carried Reed inside as he bled. Reed said that with the blood he was losing, he would be unconscious in 10 seconds. But before that, he needed to tell something to her. The tech used to cut off his arm, disrupted his body's tensile strength at atomic level. The tech was Wakandan, and it used vibranium. With that, Reed slid into the slumber of death as Sue held him close, crying, "Kill the Marvel Universe." Kraven told the Yautja that killing Reed was like driving a spike through their prey's skull. Removing Ben was tearing out its fangs. Now it was time to finish the prey, and that demanded a blitz. With that plan, he directed thousands of Yautja ships toward Earth, determined to overwhelm any chance of a counterattack. Kraven led one hunting party, while the rest followed Graveyard. At the Xavier Institute, Professor Xavier and Magneto argued quietly about whether humans were an enemy to mutants. The conversation snapped apart when Xavier suddenly screamed, clutching his head. He toppled out of his wheelchair. Magneto rushed to him, demanding to know what had happened. Xavier gasped that he had felt an unbearable psychic shock, pain, loss, a burst of love turning to horror, as he witnessed the Fantastic Four dying. It was both a cry for help and a warning. Then the sky split open. A Yautja ship drifted over the mansion and activated a massive vibranium disk. The device turned into an inversion magnet that ripped Magneto upward with catastrophic force. He was dragged through the walls, the ceiling, and the roof, shredding his body against pipes, beams, and broken metal. Blood sprayed through the wreckage as he was yanked helplessly into the air. Magneto was at the top of the Predator kill list. His powers could tear their ships apart. So, Kraven ordered the creation of an anti-magnetic weapon, powered by vibranium, with the gravity of a collapsing star. Magneto slammed into the disc. His body splattered across it in a wet explosion of bone and blood. When the magnet shut down, his broken corpse dropped like dead weight, leaking from every torn opening. Then the Predators descended on the mansion. At the Triskelion, personnel picked up a signal from the Milano and requested identification. Kraven glanced at the Predator beside him, and the creature perfectly mimicked Peter Quill's voice. The clearance went through, granting the Milano access to US airspace. No one at S.H.I.E.L.D. realized the truth. Several Yautja ships were flying in with it, cloaked, silent, and ready to unleash hell. At the Weapon Plus facility in Virginia, General Pett screamed as Predator X slammed her against a wall, ripping through flesh. Blood poured down her uniform, while the creature hissed and raised its wrist blade to finish her. A voice ordered, "That's enough." Predator X froze with the blade inches from her face. Dr. Cornelius stepped forward and told the creature to release her. Pett was dropped to the ground, trembling and furious. She snapped that she could have Cornelius shot for this. He calmly replied she wouldn't, because what he possessed was too valuable. Pett demanded a report to take back to the Pentagon. Cornelius explained the being was a predator, a species that had hunted Earth for centuries, and thanks to his mind-wipe tech, this one obeyed him. Far away, the X-Men battled giant sentinels in a danger room simulation. Cyclops led the attack, blasting through metal heads while Colossus smashed bodies apart, and Storm hurled lightning. Suddenly, multiple predators stepped into the simulation. Cyclops turned, confused. More Yautja appeared behind him. Beast wondered if a lightning surge had damaged the simulation. Cyclops approached, but a predator leapt forward, charging with a vibranium combi stick. The predator slashed at Cyclops' face, breaking his jaw instantly, as blood splattered everywhere. At Avengers Tower, Black Widow played pool with Hawkeye. Captain America arrived, greeting them. The Milano spacecraft approached through the rain. Cap joked that things would get rowdy with the Guardians in town. The ship opened, but no Guardians stepped out. Cap suddenly felt uneasy. Widow agreed. He began to say they might have walked into something. Then the predators burst out. "A trap!" Cap shouted as they charged into a brutal fight. Later at Stark Tower, Bruce Banner worked in a lab. He turned at the sound of something falling and saw Captain America's blood-soaked shield rolling in. Bruce crouched and touched the blood. His eyes widened and turned green. Kraven slowly walked out of the shadows. He had baited the Hulk. The Hulk roared to life, towering over him. Kraven reflected that he and his hunting party had only one shot. As Hulk lunged in fury, the blood war. Kraven sprinted for his life as Hulk came thundering after him, ready to pulp him between his fists. Kraven wanted to burn the weak out of the world and leave only warriors standing. He lured Hulk straight into an ambush, 7 predators waiting with plasma cannons raised. They opened fire, blasting Hulk with searing bolts. Hulk barely twitched. Then he snapped. He roared and ripped into them. He smashed one predator into a wet smear of bone. He grabbed another by the spine and tore him clean in half, spilling organs across the floor. A third he crushed under his heel until the tiles turned slick with green blood. One predator tried to flee, but Hulk slapped him through a window, sending a mist of gore behind him. Then Hulk clapped, one thunderous shockwave that shredded the remaining hunters and scattered their bodies like torn meat. Previously on the Yautja planet, Kraven had lived among the Yautja like a brother, killing beside them and sharing their creed of hunting the strongest prey. He leapt at alien beasts, fought in their arenas, and exchanged knowledge. They showed him their sacred stores of vibranium god metal, and together they forged weapons for a single purpose: to launch an assault on Earth, the richest hunting ground. He sprinted across a rooftop as Hulk smashed through a building toward him. Their plan was simple: bring down the giant with a vibranium Hulkbuster that could drain his gamma energy. Kraven fired the machine, blasting Hulk with a devastating pulse. Hulk roared in agony as the beam ripped through him. His body shrank, muscles collapsing, until Bruce Banner fell to his knees, terrified and hurt. Bruce tried to crawl away, but Kraven raised a vibranium axe. He grinned and said, "I feared you the most." Bruce shouted, "No," and grabbed at him, but Kraven swung the axe down in a brutal strike, lightning flashing with the blow. Wolverine tore down the road toward the Xavier Institute when the stench of smoke hit him like a punch. He gunned the bike harder. When he arrived, the mansion was a blazing graveyard. Bodies of friends and family hung from scorched beams, burning, crackling, falling apart. His claws slid out with a scream of metal. Then the Predator hurled Xavier's flaming corpse out the front door, still strapped to his burning wheelchair. The sight carved deeper than any wound. Even his healing factor couldn't touch that kind of pain. Graveyard exploded from the inferno and blasted Wolverine with a vibranium energy shot that folded him mid-air and smashed him into the ground. Blood spilled down his ribs as Graveyard stalked toward him. Logan's mind flashed. He'd killed a predator once, a tough one. This thing was worse. Nightcrawler teleported in, grabbed Wolverine, and bamfed away just as Graveyard's gauntlet blade sliced through the air. To Graveyard, Wolverine wasn't just prey. He was the ultimate adamantium trophy. On the dark side of the moon, the Predator King sat on his grotesque throne as hunters gathered before him. With the first wave already loose on Earth, he prepared the next step. He activated a control bracer, its glyphs flashing, and triggered the release of a swarm of brutal Yautja drones. They launched from the lunar fortress and tore across space toward Earth. The drones targeted everything: satellites, space stations, power plants, dams, launch docks, data centers, communication hubs, and nuclear silos. Humanity's infrastructure was carved apart in minutes. The Yautja weren't just hunting heroes anymore. They were hunting civilization. Iron Man sensed something was wrong mid-flight. Spider-Man swung through the city and felt dread rising in his chest. But the realization came too late. The Avengers Tower erupted in a massive explosion, engulfed in fire, as Spider-Man and Iron Man watched it helplessly. The King watched the destruction through his visor and roared in triumph as cities below were hit by more drone strikes. His army followed him into the onslaught, yet hope flickered. Survivors still lived: Wolverine, Iron Man, Spider-Man, and hidden somewhere among the dead trophies mounted on the King's throne, Susan Storm stepped out of the shadows, fists clenched, ready to fight back with everything she had. Marvel Universe fights back. New York City lay in chaos. The Yautjas had unleashed a storm of death that refused to stop. Heroes and villains alike were butchered. Doctor Strange, Daredevil, Vulture, Green Goblin, and Elektra hung from buildings, blood dripping from their limp bodies. In the flooded courtyard, a predator blasted Kingpin's heart out of his chest, while Dr. Octopus thrashed against another pack of hunters. Corpses of other villains floated at their feet. Explosions ripped across Manhattan as cloaked ships targeted power lines and infrastructure. And what happened here was happening everywhere. Lightning split the sky as Thor sensed the slaughter. Even the gods had taken notice. He hurled himself toward Earth, but the Yautja were ready, their scopes tracking him the moment he struck the ground. Kraven had given them a kill list, and they built weapons for each victim. A predator fired a vibranium god-piercer round straight into Thor's chest, spraying blood. Thor staggered, fighting the agony, but the bullet carried a hidden payload, a gravity well. It detonated, ripping apart the battlefield. Thor was dragged into the collapsing vortex, crushed in the implosion, and flung into the blazing lava at Earth's core. As he submerged into the lava, Thor whispered, "By the gods." A geyser of molten magma erupted through the gaping wound in the earth where Thor had fallen. Buried inside the eruption spun Mjolnir, glowing red from the heat. The predator who had shot Thor stalked toward the hammer, trembling with excitement. A god's weapon, no trophy ranked higher. Before the creature could touch it, Wolverine and Nightcrawler teleported in behind him. Wolverine growled, "You think you're worthy? No, you ain't." His adamantium claws flashed, and the predator's head dropped clean off, emerald blood spraying like a fountain. Nightcrawler asked for the plan. Wolverine snarled, "Plan's simple. Kill every last one of them." A police car screeched by, swerving wildly as a predator clung to the roof and stabbed a cop with a spear. Wolverine and Nightcrawler teleported again. Wolverine shouted, "Hey, fishnet, surprise!" and cleaved the hunter's head off, booting the corpse off the vehicle. "Find me another," he growled. Suddenly, a Yautja net dropped over them. The wires tightened, slicing into their flesh. Wolverine roared for Nightcrawler to teleport. Kurt bamfed them out just as the net was about to shred them alive. Wolverine sniffed the air, blood dripping down his arms. Whoever shot that net? They're close. Graveyard decloaked behind them, towering, armored, and hungry for trophies. He lunged with his vibranium combi stick. Wolverine drew out his claws and met him mid-air, but Graveyard impaled him through the gut, lifting him like a skewered animal. Graveyard wanted that adamantium skull, but not yet. Spider-Man swung in and yanked Wolverine and Nightcrawler free with webbing. The rescue lasted 1 second. Graveyard fired a vibranium blast that smashed into Spider-Man. The heroes started falling from high above. Right then, Iron Man rocketed down like a crimson cannonball. He grabbed all 3 bleeding heroes and blasted away before Graveyard could finish them. Watching them escape, Graveyard opened a channel. Kraven's voice snapped through. When he learned Spider-Man had been sighted, he roared, "Where is Spider-Man?" Elsewhere, General Pet and Dr. Cornelius reviewed Kraven's rampage through a soldier's body cam. They realized Kraven wasn't just a collaborator, he was the spearhead, so he should be the primary target. Cornelius smiled and assured her, Predator X knows that too. As US forces launched frantic air and ground strikes, Predator X was silently deployed into a river, ready to move behind Yautja lines, hidden among his own kind. On the dark side of the moon, Sue Storm stormed into the Yautja base, shaking with fury. She said they had killed Johnny, Ben, and Reed, her whole family, and now she planned to kill theirs. She charged toward the glowing core reactor, explaining it was built for interstellar travel. If she disrupted its fusion, it would unleash catastrophic energy. She hurled force fields into it, screaming that it would make one hell of a bomb. Before she could finish, a massive blow slammed her across the chamber. She hit the ground hard. The Predator King stepped forward, towering in ritual bone armor. He hadn't been chosen by lineage. He was chosen because he was the greatest killer among them. And now, he had come for Sue. Meanwhile, in New York Harbor, Falcon thanked Black Panther for coming. Black Panther said Wakanda would stop the Predators from using vibranium as a weapon of mass destruction. He vowed to end this carnage for the world and for Wakanda. Marvel Universe kills the Predators. Iron Man took Spider-Man and Wolverine to sub-level 500 of the now destroyed Stark Tower. He told them that the Predators seemed to like their toys, but so did he. He revealed an armory filled with Iron Man suits, each deadly in its own way. He said that they were dealing with an extinction-level threat that was ridiculously overpowered. So the heroes better add some iron to their diet. The three of them suited up and went through the city, cutting through the Predators and spraying emerald blood all over. They ran through their knowledge of how powerful the Predators were. The Predators had vibranium, but so did the heroes. Their Iron Man suits were powered by a vibranium payload. The Predators were hunters by nature, and so the heroes decided to adapt and hunt them instead. The Predators wanted trophies, so the heroes decided to present themselves as the shiny preys. They would be loud and visible, so that the Yautjas focus on them and leave the city alone. The Predators had thermal vision. To counter that, the Iron Man suits had a cloaking mechanism that would drop their temperatures to match the surrounding environment. Iron Man activated the cloak and camouflaged himself. Then he sneaked upon a Predator and burned him to hell with a laser blast. The Predator never knew what hit him. Though Wolverine and Iron Man carved a path of green blood all over the city, Spider-Man was no killer. He helped the only way he could: resist and rescue. He tied up and incapacitated the Predators and helped rescue a news chopper from a Predator attack. A group of Yautjas attacked Wolverine, but there was no stopping him. He sliced through them with his adamantium claws in a berserk rage. The Predators were no match for him. He cut through them like paper as Yautja heads rolled at his feet. But right them, a vibranium blast ripped the Iron Man armor from Wolverine's body. The ultimate Predator had arrived, Graveyard. As Wolverine turned, Graveyard lunged at him with his vibranium combi stick, ready to smash him and rip out his skull. At Staten Island, our heroes from Wakanda arrived: Black Panther, Falcon, Shuri, and the entire Wakandan army. And they had brought with them something similar to the Yautjas: knowledge, surprise, and vibranium. As all of them landed, they found themselves in the middle of an Yautja army. Black Panther growled, "They have come to colonize us all, not in this life." Saying this, he and his army lunged at the Predators, screaming, "Wakanda forever, Earth forever." At his base, Kraven stood in front of the trophies that he had collected from the heroes he had killed with the Yautjas. His mind was calm as he looked at the remains from the dead heroes and silently acknowledged his hunts. But he did not notice that someone had sneaked up behind him. As he sensed the presence and turned, he was surprised to see the infiltrator. It was none other than Predator X, who had got past all securities and tracked down his target, Kraven the Spearhead. Predator X lunged. Kraven punched him mid-air, but Predator X hit him back. Kraven's wish was to see Spider-Man's head on a pike, but in his life, he also wished for an honorable death. And Predator X was there to deliver just that. Predator X slashed open his wrist blades and stabbed Kraven through his throat. Blood splattered everywhere, but Kraven just laughed while he died. It was a good death for him, an honorable one. He went out fighting. On the dark side of the moon, inside the Yautja ship, another battle was unfolding. The Predator King held Sue Storm by the neck, lifted up as she slowly regained her senses from the sneak attack. The Predator King was ready to kill her. He was arrogant, so much that he did not care who Sue Storm was. That was a mistake, because Sue Storm was the strongest of them all. Sue waved her hand and created force fields and exploded them inside the Predator King's head and body. First, the Predator King's head burst open, and then his body was ripped apart like a balloon, spraying green gore. Sue Storm stood ready, covered in blood, and said, "That was for me. And this is for my family, and the other families who still stand a chance." Saying this, she turned and hurled her force fields into the core reactor. And there was a devastating blast. The Yautja ship was blown to bits as the explosion took out the entire dark half of the moon. As the moon shattered into pieces, Graveyard's attention was broken. He turned skywards to look at what had happened. And that window was all that Wolverine needed. He opened his claws, snicked, and sliced Graveyard's hand into pieces. He hit Graveyard again and growled at him to take off his mask. He grabbed Graveyard's mask and yanked it open. He said that he wanted Graveyard to see the pain in his eyes as he killed him. Then Wolverine stabbed Graveyard through his head. He kept pouncing and slashing in his rage, and reduced Graveyard into a pool of flesh, blood, guts, and bones. Iron Man, Spider-Man, and Nightcrawler arrived and calmed Wolverine down. They said that the pain would not go away, but they were there for him. They showed Wolverine the scene below, where Black Panther and the Wakandan army were fighting the Predators, and Earth was winning. From their facility, General Pett and Dr. Cornelius saw Kraven's bloody head on a pike. With the assignment ended, General Pett commanded Cornelius to decommission Predator X immediately. But to her surprise, Cornelius stretched out his Yautja gauntlet blade and pointed it at her. He had no such immediate plans to stand down. As the nightmare ended, and the living waited to mourn the dead and start rebuilding, Predator X walked out with Kraven's head on a pike, and then slowly cloaked himself into invisibility. He was now the hunter amongst us, and his story was just beginning. So that marks the end of the Predator Kills the Marvel Universe saga, and the start of a new one. Rest assured, ComixFam, we will bring you the rest of the stories as they are told. Did you like our video? Please let us know your thoughts in the comments section. We are obliged for all your support and love. Please spread the word and keep buying comic books. Till the next one, stay tuned and stay absolute.